Have you ever had that strange, aching feeling, being surrounded by people, maybe even loved ones, yet still feeling deeply unloved? As if no matter how many arms hold you, no matter how many words are spoken, there's still a hollow space inside that nothing seems to fill. Have you ever wondered why love, even when it's present, sometimes feels like it never reaches you? This isn't a question of romance alone. It's deeper. It's older. It's something carved into us long before we learned to speak, long before we had the words to ask for what we needed. For many of us, this emptiness doesn't come from a lack of love in the present. It comes from a wound formed in the past, a wound we may not even remember, but one that shapes the way we experience love for the rest of our lives. Think back to childhood, to the small self who only wanted warmth, only wanted to be seen and held without conditions. But instead, what did they meet? Maybe love was given only when you performed well, only when you pleased, only when you were quiet and agreeable. Maybe your needs felt like too much. Maybe your tears were ignored. Maybe your joy was too loud, too wild, too inconvenient. And in those moments, the child inside you learned something devastating, that love is not guaranteed, that being yourself is not safe, that to be accepted, you must shrink or harden or disappear. A nervous system is like wet clay in those years. It molds itself around what it believes will keep you alive. And if love was unpredictable, painful, or conditional, your nervous system adapted. It built walls. It taught you to hide your real feelings, to silence your needs, to anticipate rejection before it even came. You didn't choose this. You survived it. But survival has a cost. As we grow into adults, those old adaptations don't just vanish. They follow us, silently directing how we give and receive love. Compliments feel undeserved, as if the person giving them doesn't really see us. Kindness feels suspicious, like a trap waiting to spring. Intimacy feels unbearable, not because we want to destroy it, but because deep down our body has learned that love itself is dangerous, that if we open too wide, we will be hurt again. So what we always do, we adapt once more. We create masks. Jung called it the persona, the face we show to the world, crafted carefully to gain approval, to avoid rejection, to stay safe. For some, the mask is the achiever, always excelling, hoping that success will make them lovable. For others, it's the caretaker, always meeting everyone's needs, but never voicing their own. Some wear the mask of indifference, pretending they don't care about love at all, because to care feels too risky. But every mask has a cost, because behind it, something else grows. The shadow. Everything the mask cannot hold, everything we push away, everything we're told is too much or not enough gets buried. Our anger, our sadness, our deep hunger for love, our wild, untamed joy, all of it gets exiled into the unconscious. But here's the truth. The shadow never dies. It waits. It waits in our dream. It waits in our fears. It waits in the patterns we can't seem to escape, in the relationships that repeat the same heartbreak over and over. The shadow is not evil. It is not our enemy. It is simply the part of us that was never allowed to exist. And so it knocks again and again, asking to be let back in. Sometimes it knocks as anxiety, sometimes as rage, sometimes as the quiet whisper of loneliness in the middle of the night. And here's the paradox. The very parts we bury are often the ones that hold our deepest life force. The anger we suppress carries our fire. The sadness we bury carries our depth. The neediness we shame carries our capacity for love and connection. The joy we silence carries our creativity, our wildness, our freedom. To exile them is to exile ourselves. If these words stir something inside you, if they awaken a truth you've long kept hidden, take a moment to subscribe to Deep Psyche. Stay close to this journey. Healing doesn't happen in one revelation. It unfolds layer by layer, and every reminder brings you closer to your wholeness. Let's continue. So what does healing look like? It doesn't mean erasing the past. It doesn't mean pretending we were never hurt. Healing begins the moment we turn toward what we've hidden. The moment we say to our shadow, "You too belong." It begins when we allow the unloved child within us to finally be seen, not with judgment, but with compassion. When we tell them, you were never too much, you were never not enough, you deserve love all along. Integration, this was Jung's great truth. We don't heal by becoming perfect. We heal by becoming whole, by bringing light to what we buried, by reconciling the mask we wear with the self we hide. And in that union, we discover something extraordinary. Love that no longer depends on conditions, no longer feels foreign or unsafe. Love that is rooted in wholeness, in authenticity, in the courage to be fully ourselves. But integration is not easy. To welcome back our shadow requires courage, because it means feeling the pain we once ran from. It means sitting with the loneliness, the grief, the rage we thought would destroy us. It means daring to believe that those parts of us are not monsters, but wounded children longing for home. And yet every time we choose to sit with them, every time we choose compassion over avoidance, the wound begins to soften. Love begins to feel less like a threat and more like a birthright. This is the path of real transformation. Not escape, but embrace. Not perfection, but wholeness. And when you walk it, something miraculous happens. The emptiness inside you begins to fill. Not with someone else's approval, not with the fleeting highs of attention or success, but with the steady fire of self-acceptance. Love stops being a battlefield and starts being a homecoming. So if you've ever felt unloved, let this truth sink deep. It is not because you are unlovable. It is not because you are broken. It is because your nervous system was taught to survive love instead of trust it. But teachings can be unlearned. Wounds can be healed. Shadows can be welcomed. And love, real, safe, soul-deep love, can be relearned. And maybe as you hear this, you realize something. You've been waiting your whole life for someone to give you the love you needed. But perhaps the person you've been waiting for is you. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to Deep Psyche. This is where psychology meets the soul, where the hidden child is remembered, and where your healing begins. Share your story in the comments. And if this spoke to your soul, give it a like. Not for us, but as a reminder to yourself that you are ready to begin the journey of becoming whole. Because healing begins with awareness, and awareness begins with you.